going on, everybody? You're watching Straight Facts, Richie and Cyril. I'm Cyril, my boy.
Richie.
And we're back again. Today's next episode will be about our predictions of the standings and awards, but of course we have some breaking news.
Yep, some more off-season news, and Cyril's not too happy about it, but it is the Grizzlies trading Chandler Parsons to the Hawks for Solomon Hill and Miles Plumlee. Now, Chandler Parsons is in his final year of a 4-year, $94 million contract, and he'll be making just over $25 million this season. And tell by the look on Cyril's face, he's not too happy about it.
Alright, so I'm very happy with Hill.
Because he has a 4-year, $48 million
that was
contract.
part of the reason why, when Dell Demps was in New Orleans, why he wanted to make sure that Hill's contract would get moved. But
right.
Of course, it fell under the Hawks. What was it, for the 4th pick?
Mm-hmm.
We got Solomon Hill. So, yay. So we traded him, and honestly, like Richie said, there is light to this kind of, because
there is potential for Chandler Parsons. He's been dealing with a bunch of knee injuries.
Yeah.
Didn't really play that well with Memphis. We saw him his potential with the Houston Rockets.
Yeah. And even the Mavericks, he was definitely. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was still injury prone there. But I just hate that contract. I would hate to.
But you only have him for 1 year, and then you can just,
which is fine. I mean, we could flip him eventually, but I'm not too genuinely mad about it. I just wish that we're flipping an awful contract in Hill and a bum. Why not try to get
a bigger contract? But
exactly.
At least it's his final season. That's
definitely true.
That's the good thing. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
But another free agent signing.
Heartbreaking.
No more Bobby and Toby, as Boban Marjanovic signs a 2-year, $7 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks.
No, this is bad. This is bad for the Bobby and Toby community. No, but actually, I mean, that's gonna be kind of confusing though. So they really do like Dwight Powell after giving him that big extension, and they see a lot of future in him. Was it a 3-year or a 4-year?
3-year, $33 million.
Exactly. Yeah. So they gave him a nice little extension, and of course they have some. You could say some depth to it. I mean, I like Maximilius Kleber. He's kind of.
He got a good contract too.
Yeah.
I can't remember the details.
He's pretty good, and of course now bringing in Boban, you got giants protecting it with Maxey. And
you got a really tall team. Luka.
It's crazy.
Luka's a tall guard. I mean, they list him as small forward, but he's really a point guard. And then Porzingis, of course, over 7-footer.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he kind of had to be point guard. He's the reason why Dennis Smith kind of got traded.
Right.
Because he was playing point guard. But your boy Brunson too.
I love Jalen
Brunson. Yeah, Brunson.
He's got a nice shot.
He's good. Lefty.
Yep. And so now we have our predictions for the 2019-2020 NBA season. We're going to start off with the Rookie of the Year. And who you got winning Rookie of the Year this season, Cyril?
Zion Williamson.
You got Zion?
I got Zion. I mean, it's not more than just being, it's Zion. No, I really do think that when it comes to being Rookie of the Year candidate, I don't think Rookie of the Year is more than just I think it's more than just the stats. Because if it was, I think Trae Young would have won too, but especially totals too. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to that, I do think that John Moran is going to put up more points and assists. But when it comes to the deep down stats, I think Zion's going to have him beat, and as well as just importance, because we know that if any team's making it to the playoffs out of these lottery picks, it's going to be
Zion has a great chance to make it. But Morant, I just think he's going to win it because I think he's just going to step up big.
And he's definitely built for it too.
Yeah, and he needs to step up big. He doesn't have a lot of help, as we talked about. I touched on it a little bit in the previous episode, but he's got Korver, Crowder. Valanciunas is a decent scorer.
And Jackson
he's
too.
Good for a double, of course, Triple J. But I think Morant has to step up, and I think he will. Also, Rui Hachimura. Cyril doesn't like it, but I don't care. He's nice. I think, the Wizards need more scoring. They got Isaiah Thomas. We don't know how well he's going to be. We know Bradley Beal is going to drop 20, 25 a game. John Wall, we don't know if he'll be back next season. Will he be back? No, he probably won't be back. Right? Oh, no, he's not going to be back. And then, so he's going to start. Hachimura is going to start. He'll be the 3 or the 4.
I got either Little or Kobe White being the next runner-up after Morant.
Right. And heading over to the Coach of the Year, I have Kenny Atkinson. And Atkinson did such a great job last year.
He really did. He definitely did. He brought
the Nets 42 games or something like that.
He brought the Nets to the playoffs.
Yeah, he brought the Nets to the playoffs with a 6 seed, I believe.
Yeah.
And with D'Angelo Russell, now they have Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan. You picked up a solid defender in Garrett Temple as well.
Yeah, I mean that was a nice.
They got Wilson Chandler too, right?
Yeah.
So
they just got Wilson Chandler.
They added a lot more, and they didn't lose much. All they lost was.
No, that's what we mentioned
and
too.
And they got Spencer Dinwiddie, who is definitely a six-man of the year candidate. Jarrett Allen, Joe Harris, the sharpshooter, Karis LeVert. We saw how well he played before he went down.
Damari left.
We don't know if Ronnie's coming back. He's a free agent, but he could. Damari Carroll's trash, so I mean.
Yeah, he sucks.
So that's not that bad. He signed a 2-year, $13 million deal with the Spurs, but
all right, he's not trash. Like your level of trash.
After the Hawks, he hasn't.
Yeah, there you go.
After the Hawks, he hasn't done much.
At least know that since he left the 16-win team, they kind of.
Right. But the Nets are just very deep. They have great depth.
Yeah, of course, it's a great coach too.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, however, that Mike Malone is going to take that, just because I mean, not only do I think that the Nuggets have the most depth out of anybody in the NBA, they also have more talent than most teams, and of course, Malone is a great coach. I think that it was a close run for him, really, too, as well this year.
And last season, he had to deal with a number of injuries. You had your first overall pick. Mm-hmm. He was down for the entire season. Gary Harris was dealing with injuries.
He didn't even play. Remember when we covered that he was supposed to come back?
Right.
Porter never came back. They said
like December or January he might come back, but
May
then they just shut him down.
May came, and that boy was still not seen.
But fortunately, remember we talked about it that he's been fully cleared for all activities.
He could be a Rookie of the Year candidate
so that's really good.
I could see him Rookie of the Year candidate.
Shout out to Ben Simmons. So then we got.
He's still a rookie. Chill.
Oh, my fault. We got Alvin Gentry, and the Pelicans. They finished. What were they? 13th last year.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be maybe 5th or 6th in the Western Conference with the talent they have this year. Honestly, I really do believe that because they have a really solid team, especially their starting lineup. They have some solid shooters off the bench, and I think Gentry is a great coach. He handled the Anthony Davis situation.
Yeah, he did. You're right. I mean, I don't know. A 5 seed?
I think
a 5 seed.
Might. They got Zion and they got Lonzo. They got Zion and Lonzo. That's all you need.
Bro, that sounds crazy.
The team's nice. I don't care.
It's a good team. Don't get me wrong. But if it was the Eastern Conference, it'd be an easily top 3 team. Mm-hmm. But I don't know about a 5 seed.
We'll see. I think they got it.
You think they got it?
I think they got it. But 6th man of the year, I got Montrezl Harrell, who was definitely in the running for most improved player and 6th man of the year last year.
I just feel like he was too underwhelming to get the most improved just because like his performances, like I said, like people really didn't talk about that Clippers team into the playoffs game, and then that's when everyone was surprised.
And his numbers don't really pop out to you.
No, they don't.
Definitely improved, and he's improved every season.
And the Clippers are a solid team too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at the Clippers, you see a lot of depth to them as well. And keeping Beverly was big, Lou Will, Danilo, and I mean not JaMychal Green, Harrell. I don't know. It's just that team. Their front court looks really solid.
Definitely. And then also Terrence Ross, who averaged 15 points per game last season. He has those weird games where he goes off for like 30 or 35, and then he has those other games where he shoots terrible and scores like 6 or 7 points. He's like, very streaky.
He's like a broken microwave.
Yeah, it's really strange, his game.
Like he really, we always talk about him. He really plays solid.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're gonna get out of him on a nightly basis.
Definitely.
And also I have Dennis Schroeder, who had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
He averaged I think 17 and 5, but his shooting numbers were pretty low. They were just above 40%. So hopefully he can improve upon that. Also, Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
Who was definitely in the running for 6th man of the year last year before he went down with that thumb injury.
That was one of my candidates too.
Yep.
So I have Spencer Dinwiddie definitely being one, but if Michael Porter's starting, I also have Will Barton being a 6th man of the year candidate. Just because he is a 6th man. Like, the way that he plays, like, even if he's better than who currently would start, he still just deserves to, come off the bench and get, those kind of, respect minutes. Because he plays very, very efficient. And he always, helps the Nuggets whenever he's on the court, really.
And Denver also has a lot of solid guys coming off the bench. And, of course...
Beasley, Morris.
Yeah, Monte Morris and Malik Beasley. So...
And Bull.
Those could be some other 6th man of the year candidates. Who knows?
Definitely.
Who knows?
I could definitely see, Morris, too. Because Morris played great. Same with Beasley. Both those guys played very good in the playoffs.
And heading over to our next award now, Most Improved Player of the Year. And I got Lonzo Ball.
Shut up!
We already talked about it. If he can stay healthy, he's been solid, and we've seen that. He doesn't have much of a shot, but he's still working on that. We know he's a very good rebounder, a tall point guard. What is he, 6'6", 6'7"? He's got great vision, great in the fast break, a very underrated defender, and I think he can
And
do
best
it
of all,
as long as he can stay healthy.
he's injury prone.
And he's a big baller.
No, for real. I do agree with you though that like he could be a candidate. I do like Lonzo Ball a lot. Like all jokes aside, I think that he's like hated on so much, and like what thing with Lonzo is he hasn't played a full season yet. Okay,
Right.
we can't really critique him that much. And what we have seen from him is definitely shades of an all-star point guard. We see his key defense. Of course, his three-pointer isn't amazing. We know this, but his driving ability is definitely consistent, and his passing when he has all-stars on the team looks really good.
Right.
And I mean, he plays like a big point guard because that's what he is. You know, he really does play good. However, my most improved player goes to my guy Jonathan Isaac.
That's a great pick.
I really think that Jonathan Isaac has a lot of potential already, but coming into this next season that is upcoming, I really think that that's what's gonna, flow out the potential for him. Because one thing I told Richie was I saw him in the playoffs, against the Raptors. I was rewatching it, and you would just see like flashes of such, kind of like an all-star scorer in him when he would get those minutes. We mentioned how he kind of got that starting spot, and it just stuck
later
to him.
in the season, and they stuck with him.
They stuck with that. Because, I mean, like,
and he showed why.
They started Ross for a while over him, with keeping Fournier, too, at the 2. But once Isaac fit in there, it fit in great because, he's a bigger guy. He's getting a shot. He can drive, play that defense.
He's really lanky, too.
He's so lanky, and he has muscle to him, too, which is big for him. I mean, it's not like he's ripped, but compared to, the lanky, incredible scorers.
Compared to Brandon Ingram.
Like we were talking about. But yeah, so I do see a lot in him. I could definitely just see him as a premier scorer, good defender, and I think that this is going to be the season that he breaks out. So, but I would put probably Lonzo and Julius Randle on my list.
And Julius Randle I had there too because he had a great season last year. Averaged I think 21-9, shot over 50% from the field. And that's already great numbers, but I think he can even improve more upon
25.
that because he's playing with the Knicks now, so they need more scoring options. He'll probably be the top scoring option along with RJ Barrett, of course. And I also had De'Aaron Fox, who improved last year.
I honestly would have seen him I would have rather seen him win it this year, just because this was kind of like an untouchable improvement season for him. But of course, since it was only his second year, you couldn't really
And he improved on his mid-range.
His three-pointer.
I think he averaged 3 or 4 more assists.
Yeah.
6 or 7 more points per
Steals
game.
too,
So,
right?
yep.
Yeah, and I mean, you gotta love Swipe. I think that De'Aaron is just one of the most lovable players in the NBA. You can't I really don't know anybody that hates him. He's just a cool guy.
Kind of like Kemba Walker.
Yeah, exactly. He always just talks about his hobbies, love video games and anime. It's really cool.
Right.
He's like one of the chillest players, but let alone that this year was definitely kind of his season definitely.
And same with Buddy Hield too.
Yeah, no,
Buddy Hield.
We both love Buddy Hield. I mean, he could definitely be on there. Even Cauley Stein played pretty solid. I know for a while that it kind of declined because he was averaging 20 and 10 at one point at the start of the season, but now obviously I think it was 12 and 10 or something
that.
He
went a little down.
But he definitely, that team really was full of risers, but Cauley Stein's kind of in Golden State.
And they definitely have a lot of potential. That Kings team.
Yeah, they do.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
They're the youngest team, right?
Yeah, they're one of the youngest teams in the
And
NBA.
Bogdan's good
along
too.
with the Hawks.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Hawks.
Bogdan can shoot.
Bogdan's
when he gets
I
hot,
like him.
When he gets hot, he's pretty
definitely.
solid.
And then do they still have Bjelica or whatever?
Bjelica,
yeah. Because I mean, that team is pretty young. Once Randolph got off the team was really young.
That's who they traded. It was
Zach Randolph because they released him.
Justin Jackson
they released him.
for
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes. That was
That's right.
That was a robbery.
The Mavs didn't even. They waived him. That's what it was.
That was rough. But
I thought it was him, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I couldn't think. I didn't want to sound stupid.
Yeah, I had that name in my head, but I was like.
But heading over to our next award now, Defensive Player of the Year, and I think me and Cyril will agree upon this. It is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Absolutely.
We felt like he got robbed last year. We talked about it. He was first in defensive win shares among
which is
every player in
incredible,
the
especially
NBA,
for a power forward too.
and top of the league in steals per game and blocks per game. So I thought he should have gotten it. There's some other people though. Joel Embiid, he's always a force in the paint, grabbing all those defensive rebounds. Blocking shots.
Yeah.
He's just a very solid player, and of course Jrue Holiday, who is a great perimeter defender,
Yeah.
and definitely.
I definitely agree with that too, but I would also put definitely Miles Turner in there. Just because Miles Turner,
and he was a candidate this year too.
I actually
he led the league in blocks.
Yeah, he played great. I mean, Paul George was another candidate that maybe could have won
Paul
it.
George could be in there as well.
But I would probably have it as Giannis, almost unanimous for that because I mean, this season. It's like kind of angry how much he got robbed. But if he can play anything like he did this year, then it'll be really good for him. So then I would put Embiid and then Turner and then Holiday after that, and then probably Paul George.
Yeah, throw Paul George in the mix.
Or like Pat Beverly, somebody like that kind of has that like existence defense that is just like you don't really see it on the translation, but I would just love to see that kind of like somebody that is like
yeah, and he gets the players' heads too. He's a pest.
Yeah, he's always doing that. But I agree with you on definitely Giannis Antetokounmpo winning Defensive Player of the Year.
And now heading over to our biggest award, the Most Valuable Player,
and we agree.
For right
pretty
now,
much.
as long as Kawhi Leonard doesn't go to the Lakers right now, I
Yeah.
still have Anthony Davis winning Most Valuable Player.
And then I'm actually surprised, our second options are the same as well. I have Jokic also winning MVP most likely as well as being our second option. I think that it's kind of like you got to break it down like this, right? So Jokic kind of had problems at the start of the season and even midway through, and then of course the one drawback on Jokic is his speed.
Mm-hmm.
He's too
That's
big.
his only problem.
He's out of shape. We saw that in the 60-minute playoff game where, as well as he played, he just was not conditioned for it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if he can somehow work on that, I already think Jokic is the best center in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Up there with him.
I think that this season was just enough for him, and I'm expecting a huge season from him.
I think he averaged 17, 10, and 7.
Yeah.
7 assists for a center is very impressive.
Yeah, it was crazy. Jokic and he's kind of like if he wins MVP, it'll be a Steve Nash MVP because he's bringing a team to success that never really had that success at least in a while. And of course, it's not the biggest numbers. I'm not expecting him to lead the league in points or rebounds
or assists.
Maybe
assists in
but
centers.
He'll be bulky in all of that.
Right.
Because he fills up that stat sheet. If any center's going to get a triple double, it's him. Him or Embiid. Embiid could do that too, but I think
turns the ball over quite a bit though.
8. You could just see him turn it over way too much. We were talking about that. We were looking at the box score and he had 7 assists 3 games in a row. Or 7 turnovers 3 games in a row. It was crazy. But yeah, I do think that Jokic and Anthony Davis are going to be the front runners. And I like seeing that. Big men, kind of fighting for the champion.
We haven't seen that in a while.
We really haven't. So I would say Shaq and Hakeem. That was the last time that we genuinely saw that. And so who's your third?
My third is Damian Lillard, your boy Damian Lillard, and I think he got that Supermax extension, 4 years, $194 million.
I like that.
He can shoot from anywhere. He's really scary, and then he's got really good vision.
He's got options
passer.
too.
And now he has some people to pass it to.
Absolutely.
Of course, CJ McCollum has really come into his own. Hassan Whiteside coming off the bench. Do you think he'll start?
I think Hassan Whiteside would be put at the 4 because if you look at it, it might not be too bad. Of course, even if Nurkic doesn't,
and hopefully Nurkic comes
back healthy, then he's definitely going to start.
And you got Nasir Little, another solid scorer.
Which would definitely help them too. Of course, losing Amino, I think, is going to be a lot more hurtful than you would expect. Because if you watch Trailblazers games, you know that man just he shows up and he reminds me of
really
Pat Bev too.
Yeah.
You don't really always see it on his numbers, but he definitely can be really clutch. As well as Jake Layman, he's pretty good too.
And also Rodney Hood, they signed
I was gonna say
Rodney
Hood.
He could be a solid scorer off the bench as well.
Definitely.
And then I also had Giannis. I just think.
Yeah.
I think Giannis is just gonna get better and better because.
I honestly think that he could end up winning it. I think my 3 legitimate I was thinking about it definitely Anthony Davis too, but I think I had Giannis, Jokic, and Curry. I think that was kind of my.
Yeah, you got to look at Curry too because he definitely has to step up because you're losing Durant. Forever. And
we're gonna be seeing a big
Thompson. We don't know if he'll be back next season or if it'll be later in the year, the playoffs.
Richie,
don't really know how it's gonna go.
Do you know how mad I'm gonna be if we're wrong about everything and James Harden averages 45 points per game?
Oh my God, I'll cry. And he gets 25.
Go away.
He gets 25 of those points from the free throw line or something like that.
Go away, James. Oh my gosh.
But
I hate Harden. We just don't enjoy watching him.
Right. Well, let's head over to the standings right now. And for the Eastern Conference, here are my picks. So just for the teams that are going to make the playoffs, I got the Bucks, 76ers, Celtics, Raptors, Nets, Pacers, Magic, and the Heat. Now, this is if Kawhi Leonard stays in Toronto. I think Boston, they've really, I understand they lost Al Horford. They're probably going to lose Marcus Morris. We lost Kyrie. But we did sign, some young players. We signed Kemba Walker. So I just think we're going to play a lot better. Philadelphia, they have a really good starting 5. and I think they're going to move up in the standings this year.
Well, like one thing with the Celtics is you got to see how the system works, whether it works out for you guys or not. The lack of defense, as well as just kind of the lack of chemistry between Kemba and
Yeah, there are
the
a lot
guys
of new
around
players,
him.
and of course we have
and of course
4 new rookies.
if you take away Kemba off the team,
Mhm.
then Tatum's their best player, and he has really no like leading experience too. So that's one thing about it. So if Kemba gets into a Kyrie situation where he's injured, there's no Horford to lead the way anymore. It can either be Kanter or Tatum, you know. And I think the big thing with this is, as well as we saw what happened last year with kind of the trials that happened between the Celtics, whether it was injuries or all that, you know. Hopefully you'll be able to recover. I mean, honestly, all I think that matters is how you guys start. If you guys start off good, then you could be set. You know, I just want to see how the chemistry works out. Now, I do think, you know, like in a realistic aspect, I think that it could be either the Raptors at the 1 or the 2 if Kawhi stays. Because, I mean, the team pretty much stayed the same. If any, like, they keep Siakam and
They
Van
didn't
Vliet.
lose anybody.
No.
We'll see what Danny Green does.
Yeah. So, like, that's big. Of course, other teams did get better around him, but the Bucks also lost Brogdon and Mirotic, and I think that that's
And
big
Tony
for them.
Snow. Well, he's a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah, he was.
And they got John Lewis. They'll probably waive him to get some more money,
Yeah.
but
I don't know, man. I could see it as the 76ers being one of the best teams in the league. I could see them either as the 1 or 2. No, I think the Hawks are going to be the 8 seed, but...
the Hawks, I got
Who do you have at your 8 seed?
Okay, so for my 8 seed is going to be the Heat. I think Jimmy Butler can lead them to the playoffs. They do have Goran Dragic, who is pretty solid. What did they get? They got Myers Leonard to the Heat as well.
Yeah.
James Johnson, he can get buckets. Deion Waiters, when he's healthy and in shape, you know, he can score really well.
That's true. I mean, like, getting rid of Josh Richardson is going to be tough for them.
Because he's a very good perimeter defender.
And he had
really
so
good
much
three-point
chemistry with
shooter.
Justice.
Yeah.
He had so
Justice
much chemistry.
Winslow, that's another guy too right there.
And of course, Dragic left. Where did he end up going?
No, Dragic's still with the Heat.
I thought
No,
he
remember he was supposed to go to
was
the
going
Mavericks, but then
okay. That's what I thought.
they canceled that out.
Alright.
But for the 9 through 15, I got the Pistons, then I got the Hawks. The Hawks are improving because the Hawks were only
We were the 13th.
the Hawks were 13. So
Yeah.
the Hawks, then I got the Wizards. I think the Wizards are going to be a little bit better because they have Isaiah Thomas. They're not going to be that
I'll
much
take
better.
better than the Hawks. I was like, get that out of here.
They'll move up a spot or 2. Then I got the Wizards. I got the Knicks moving up a little bit. They'll be the 12th. Then I got the Bulls, Cavs, and the Hornets. The Hornets are just going to be awful. 'Cause they got
they're gonna be
they got a
really
much
bad.
worse point guard. They got Terry Rozier, and then they lost
Don't
Frank
the
Kaminsky.
scary Terry. He's
He's a bum.
not a
They
bum.
lost Frank Kaminsky.
You're petty. You're petty.
He
No.
was a decent scorer off the bench. They
No.
lost another starter in Jeremy Lamb. So I don't think. I mean, I don't know how Kemba.
No, I don't think that
I
they're
don't know
gonna be good. But you're a petty guy.
I don't know how
He's a
Kemba almost
bum.
brought the Hornets to the playoffs.
Do you have the Pistons in the playoffs?
No,
Above the
I got
Hawks, bro.
the
They're
9
not.
seed.
They're not.
The
being
Pistons
better
are
than
a
the
weird
Hawks.
team. I don't know how they're always close to the playoffs.
Yeah, we always
They
talk
make the
about that
playoffs.
though. Like they always kind of like shock
They're
us.
almost there. They don't make it, or it's
It's usually just
it's
Blake
really
Griffin
close.
playing good.
yeah, because Blake Griffin goes off at the
Hawks are
end of
gonna
the
be better
season.
than the Magic, but that's
Okay, we'll have to wait and see with that. And then for the Western Conference, this is going to be really interesting because
yeah, this is
I
a
feel
tough
like there
one.
could be there's like 10 playoff teams. There's like 10 or 11 teams that could realistically make the playoffs.
Okay.
But for the number 1 seed, I think you and I agree upon, and this is if Kawhi Leonard stays with the Raptors.
Honestly, if he goes to the Lakers,
I still think that. I mean, how are the Lakers not a number 1 seed?
because of chemistry.
But that's,
These 3 guys never played
but
together.
that's 3 like.
LeBron hasn't played with like 3 healthy or 2 other healthy All-Stars genuinely since Miami, and even then,
Cleveland.
the
Or
Love was
Kyrie.
never. He never got a finals where both were healthy.
That's true.
So that's one thing. But as well as the Nuggets are just the same great team. They got their playoff loss experience that they needed, and I think that the Nuggets have enough to be the first seed no matter
But I
what.
got the Nuggets getting the 1st seed, the Trailblazers with the 2 seed,
I agree
the
with that.
Lakers moving up all the way to the 3 seed.
Yeah.
I just think LeBron's gonna go
You
off
have
this
the
year.
you have the Thunder. Yeah, me
The Thunder
too.
moving up to the 4th. And
I have the Warriors as a 5.
I got the Rockets as the 5 because the Rockets, what were they? The Rockets were 4th last year. I think they're just gonna drop down a little bit because Chris Paul is a year older.
Okay.
you don't really know. Who knows if they're gonna try to trade Clint Capella or Tucker or Eric Gordon.
Or
We gotta
Paul.
wait and see with that.
Or Paul.
Yeah, no, he said he doesn't want out of Houston, but I mean they still could trade him.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I think the Warriors are gonna dip down obviously.
I have the Warriors as the 5 and then the Rockets as the 6.
Yeah, because obviously Klay Thompson, we don't know if he'll be back next year. Kevin Durant's gone,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
so I feel about that. And then the Pelicans, I got with the 7th seed.
I replaced the Pelicans with the Spurs, and the Pelicans go to the 8, and the Jazz get bumped out.
I think the Jazz are gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with the Spurs.
That's why it's so difficult because
it's really hard.
Because taking the Spurs and the Clippers out of the playoffs it's kind of tough.
Crazy. Like it's
but then it's kind of tough taking the Jazz out because of
they
how good
always
their
make
starting
it.
lineup
They
is.
always make it too. But like one thing about the Spurs, I mean, like I said, they already have the 1 and 2 back up by some young studs, and already at the 3, DeRozan is hopefully because he played solid this year. He was just kind of iffy around this, like what was it, the All-Star break? He didn't look too hot, and I mean we talked about Rudy Gay as well, but Aldridge did play good for a while. I wasn't like an Aldridge guy. I don't know. I remember we argued about it. Like I don't know, but I'm definitely behind Aldridge more now. But I think that the Spurs definitely have a very solid team that could be a top 8 team, and I think that either the Pelicans or the Jazz get knocked off for me in the playoffs when it comes to like the 7 and 8.
Yeah, it's just tough. I got the Spurs I got the Spurs 9th, Clippers 10th. I think the Mavericks are going to improve a little bit. I think they'll be 11th. The Kings 12th, Timberwolves 13, Grizzlies 14, and of course the Suns will be 15th.
Poor Suns, man. They are never gonna get better. I mean, at this point.
With the signings there, man.
Imagine trading you could have Jarrett Culver or even traded him for something better. Like, I know that you had Devin Booker, but at this point, you might as well just run Booker at the 1 so you can get something more than that. And then trading TJ Warren for nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah, for cash, that was it. And then you got Ricky Rubio, who really hasn't turned into the... Remember, because he had some...
When he was young,
when he was coming into the league.
I think 19 or something, coming out of Spain, was it? It was like 2012, I remember. Like, he had so much hype around him. The Timberwolves were happy. I mean, so that team was Rubio, I think Derek Williams, Nikola Pekovic, and Kevin Love. And like, I just remember like that team was kind of solid. Pekovic was he was a big guy.
I like Pekovic.
Yeah, he just kind of like fell off the face of the earth.
I don't even know where he is.
No clue.
No clue.
No clue. I think he retired. But yeah, so pretty much that concludes this episode. We talked about our predictions for the honors, or you could say the awards, and then we talked about a recent trade that happened between the Hawks and even Boban Marjanovic leaving to go to the Dallas Mavericks. And then lastly, we concluded with our predictions on the standings in the Eastern and Western Conference. So that's all that we have for you. This is pretty much the last episode.
We'll see.
We'll see what can happen. But yeah, we were able to come back and make 2 today, so this was a double upload. You're watching Straight Facts. We'll check you out.